So what is meaningful to you?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a tough
That's
question.
so tough, and I'm sure a lot of people have trouble answering that, and I have spent, not even joking, over 20 years trying to figure that out. Still
How
good.
are you doing?
I'm
Fine.
yeah, good. It's been stressful times. Just we're remodeling our primary bathroom.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there right now except a bathtub and a partially tiled shower. Just slow going because Ryan has to do so much, but he works so much.
Right.
And so we're like, it's just extra annoying because we got to go downstairs to shower and all my shit's down there and like,
Yeah.
and also just hemorrhaging money and it's just a lot. And I'm just like, can we be done now?
Fuck
Can we be done with
off.
that? It'll be cool when it's done,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in like,
dude,
oh
Ryan and I
fuck,
do this thing. It's mostly me, I guess, but we do it together. But we'll be like, okay, once we get all the bathrooms done, we can chill out, and then
dude,
we'll sit there for a second, and then I'll be like, and then it would be cool if we did
it's
this,
not a
and then this,
thing.
and then
It's
and then you just are like, it'll take 10 years to finish this house,
it's
you
just
know?
what we do in life. Like
Right.
we just have to be, you know, we have to be like living with this assurance that we are like progressing, that we're making progress in some way. But it's always out here, you know. It's always like, oh, I got a better job, or you know, we got a better house, or we got a, you know, we redid our bathroom, and then inevitably, like, you know, within a pretty short matter of time, you're kind of over it, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, now I got to find the next thing. It's a fucking disease,
Ooh,
man.
I hate that part. Like when we redid our kitchen, I was in love with it. And I still love how it turned out, but I would literally like turn off the lights, getting ready to go to bed, and I would just stand there and stare at it. Like I just was
Yeah,
like, it was just so awesome. And then it dawned on me like months later, like, oh, I don't do that anymore.
yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
you get used to it.
yeah.
Yeah. And then you're right. It's like, what's the next thing? Oh, I hate that.
It's gross.
Is there a way to like do both? Because I also love like improving things and
Yeah,
like I wouldn't the
sure.
alternative if the alternative is just never doing anything, you know.
But yeah, see, that's the question to me, is like, would we love improving things if we didn't feel that things needed to be improved? Or, yeah, like it seems that that is the kind of the equal and opposite position, is you improve things because there's some intrinsic value in doing so. But that, to me, is in knowing that value is in knowing that it's better now than it was, right? And but if it was already as good as it needs to be, then there wouldn't be any value in improving something.
Or is it, oh, yeah, this is layered, right? Because I think about like exercising, you know? Like I like to exercise because, well, now, like back in the day, I exercised because I hated myself, you know, and I like wanted to change. But now I exercise because I love myself, you know, and it sounds so dumb. But it makes me feel good and like flexible and strong. So it's like,
Sure.
but I'm always trying to do a little bit better. But it's not necessarily that I'm not happy with where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? So that's my question is, can you be happy? You can, it's not a question, I'm posing this as an idea that you can be happy and grateful with what you have, but still have ambitions and goals.
Yeah, that's a question I've been really confused about for a long time now. What we're after is, or what we want to believe is, in the idea that there's a way to live life in which we would avoid the unpleasant feelings altogether that come from feeling or recognizing or thinking that there could be something better about our lives. And but surely, if you don't do anything,
Right.
it's like the whole having your cake and eating it too thing. Like, it's just not really a thing, is it? Like, is that what we're after though? I mean, is it this idea that there really is a place that you land or that you arrive at in life where you just really are content, indefinitely. And we know that's not true, but we still.
I don't know. I maybe disagree with that. I feel like even though, like, talking about our remodeling our bathroom and it's really stressful right now and it's costing a lot of money and everything, that doesn't mean I'm not content with my life or whatever. Like, I'm still able to, and I think this all the time, like, especially when I think about my kids, like, they can be incredibly challenging, but I'm still able to be so grateful for this time. I know these are the good times, you know what I mean? Like, and as you're talking, I'm like thinking like, wow, what would that even look like if I never was like, working on something? I feel like I would be deeply unhappy, And evolutionarily speaking, I feel like humans like to be productive and like, do you feel that? Like, it seems like you're pretty busy every day, but I have busier days than others, and I feel like the more productive I have to be, the more productive.
You
I'm
want
not wording
to be?
that right. Yeah, it's like if I don't have much to do in a day, I can easily convince myself to not really do anything, and I never feel good on those days. But then I have days where I have to do lots of things, and maybe I don't necessarily want to do them, but the productivity and the, getting things done, like I don't know if it's physiologically or emotionally or both, but I always like that better.
Yeah,
So,
see, that's what I'm getting at. It's like, is in that word productivity to me is useful because we're talking about product. You're creating product. You're creating the idea is that we're creating value in the work that we do. You and I come from a culture or a society or just a background in which we are very well conditioned to believe that value is a function of productivity. And I don't think that it's just a simple matter of like recognizing that it isn't, that then it will, is what allows us to relax in any moment.
yeah.
So it's a real practice, but I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, dude. I think I just blacked out, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Am I making any sort of?
Sometimes well, from what I know about you and the conversations we've had, don't
Lay it
laugh.
on me, dude. Just fucking lay it on me, bruh.
I just feel like you and I are at odds on this concept of like living in the now, right?
Oh, interesting.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you, not that we're at odds, but I feel like I'm more in acceptance maybe of like not knowing what the hell is going on, and you very much interested in why and what and like how. Is that fair to say? Like,
It's fair to say about me. I think I'm I'm not surprised, but I am curious because I wouldn't have probably guessed that you would say that about yourself. It seems that you are, or at least would be interested in those kinds of.
totally, normally, but
Yeah.
I think that my ability to comprehend existence, like I just, maybe I just see it as not pointless, but like I'm not gonna figure it out. But what I do know is that life is short, and I do believe that like living in the present is what matters. You know what I mean? So I'm not like, it's been a long time, but anytime I've been like camping or stargazing or whatever, looking up at the stars, that freaks me out so much because then I'm like, oh my God, we're just like floating on a rock and we're in the galaxy and like it's very like scary and like I want to try and know, but there's just no knowing, you know? So I'm just like, all right, you see those memes or whatever that's like just a reminder that you're a skeleton in a meat suit walking
Right.
on a, you know, a rock that's floating in the galaxy. It's like,
And that's unhelpful.
it's just like, yeah, it's absurd. This is weird.
Absurd.
What are we doing here? You know what I mean?
Absurd is the only word.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
stop at a certain point because, yeah, don't get me wrong. I overthink mostly everything.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to that, I am better able to just accept it for, for what it seems to be weird and unknowable. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I'm definitely, yeah, envious of that ability because I definitely struggle with that.
The things that come up for me about productivity and things is I think it matters why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. I think that's why I've struggled so much with jobs. Like, I think I have an opposition to like authority or like working for other people. That's a different story. But I've never had a job where I like felt in line on the same page with why I'm doing this.
Is it now? I'm curious
Yeah.
about is what is meaningful is what is most meaningful to you less about what it is and more about the idea or the fact that you are creating it and that it is and overseeing, and so it's not that you couldn't do menial things like setting up lights and I don't
Oh,
know,
yeah, no.
editing, but
Yeah.
but that it's meaningful because it is
Like meaningful to me. Yeah, I do menial things. I mean, everybody's different, right? Like I could organize a closet and that could feel like torture to somebody, but I
Yeah.
love that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just,
So what is meaningful to you?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a tough question.
That's so tough. And like, I'm sure a lot of people have trouble answering that. And I have spent, not even joking, over 20 years trying to figure that out.
I think most people would struggle
Yeah.
to answer that question.
Yeah. I think it's less important to some people, or yeah, it's not like a priority maybe, or like, I think I'm just wired differently, and I would guess you are too,
Fuck is with
right?
that?
I don't know. Did I tell you that I watched a video on highly sensitive people?
Ooh, I feel like maybe you mentioned something about
Did I?
this.
Okay. And there was like a quiz in it.
Yeah, okay.
And I was just like off the charts. It was like a yes or no quiz.
This
to
wasn't
find
the
out.
autism one.
No,
This is a
different.
different
Yeah,
thing.
different-
Okay, copy
different
that.
one.
Nice.
I'm collecting all my neurodivergency tendencies.
building a portfolio
Yeah,
on
yeah,
yourself.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The test conclusions are in. I am a weird person, but anyway, off the charts, like highly sensitive person traits, you know, and HSPs tend to like they just live differently in their heads, you know what I mean? And they overthink and they are really aware of things. And that's where all the other ones can get really messy too, because it can be, you can think you're autistic, you can think you're ADHD, it could be trauma, you know, it can be all kinds of things. So that's where I've been like looking into all these things, trying to, not that I feel like it's necessary to have a diagnosis, but just it's more information, you know? But anyway, I just had a good laugh with that because I didn't need to take the test or the quiz to know that I'm highly sensitive, but it was interesting to learn just how differently people that are highly sensitive think compared to other people. And it's not a better or worse thing, you know, it's just, so I kind of diverged there, but I think when it comes to what is meaningful to me, it can sometimes be hard to know. It's just like a feeling, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's, yeah, I think it's identifying what evokes that feeling,
Yeah.
and why that is so challenging. Like, we know we have the feeling, we
Right.
know that we've like had experiences that are meaningful, or that there are people who mean something to us, but why?
But why? Well, and that's how this channel essentially came to be, right? Because I spent, I mean, oh my gosh, like almost my entire life thinking that I was meant, or my meaning was in like creating, like literally tangible things. And I do love doing that. And I've done it in many different avenues. But then at the end of last year, feeling like I just kind of just got completely burnt out on that, and was like, and I had two jobs that I thought were like going to be dream jobs. And I was so excited one after another. I was like, this is my dream job. And then it wasn't. And then right after that, I had another job. I was like, this is it. I finally found it. And then I was still missing that feeling. And that's when I kind of had that burnout. And I was just like, dude, what? Like, am I either just incapable of happiness, or am I missing something? And then that's how this came to be, because I was like, I feel like I want to connect with people, and that's what I love. I also love creating, like the actual process of creating and learning how to edit and stuff like that is great, but it's the connections, it's the, if I can be helpful in any way to whatever audience, like that is meaningful to me.
Yeah, man. I wonder, like, so I'm thinking of like, I'm so tempted to look up the definition of meaning right now. Okay.
Definition
Something
of,
meant or intended. I guess like I was thinking about like a tool, right? Like a fucking hammer. Like, what is a hammer if there are no nails, kind of a thing, right? So is like, does the hammer feel that its life is meaningful when it has nails to hit? Is that what meaning is? Is it just like when you feel that
ooh, yes, keep going.
that you are putting yourself to use
You have a place. Yes.
in a way
Yeah.
that is suited to your particular, per, like, I don't know, I'd say qualities.
Oof, I hate to say this right now, but I think you've hit the nail on the head, actually.
Damn, dog.
Because that, I feel like, yeah, that is perhaps the most important thing to me, if I'm being honest, is finding my purpose. I believe that everyone has unique gifts that can be, used in so many different ways. And I'm not saying like everyone should strive to be like a nurse or a doctor, or you know what I mean? Like it can be, you can be like our freaking school of soccer that our daughter Dolly is doing. The coach, I just am mesmerized by him, because I'm like, well, this guy is here for this reason, is to be a toddler soccer coach. And he has done it for many years. And like everybody knows about him. And he's just so good at it. Like in the grand scheme of things, are people going to remember Coach Steve like in a universal way? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that he didn't impact many lives. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to find, is like, it's not about notoriety or accolades or anything like that. It's just finding that place that you were meant to be.
And we hear people talk about that, like, oh, I was made to do this.
Yeah.
I was like, this is, but we're not actually.
See, I kind of maybe disagree. I think that it can be hard to figure out what that is, but I do think that or it's my belief, kind of a woo-woo belief, I guess, that we have kind of unique gifts that you can either find or they can never be found, but like that you were made to do, kind of. And again, I don't want to get back into our conversation about free will. But that's just
Too late.
maybe I like that idea. You know what I mean? Because otherwise maybe it's too scary to feel like there is no purpose for, you know what I mean?
That brings me to the next question, which
Sure.
is about fear and growth.
Sure.
And that growing seems to be related to the relationship that we have with the ongoing relationship that we have with fear and the things that we fear. When we grow, we become less fearful, don't we?
I don't know. Remains to be seen.
Yeah. I just think about like our kids, right? And like Hobbs is in this phase where like I think Winnie went through the same thing where he's suddenly is like startled by things, and if he doesn't know like where that sound came from, that it's
He has a new awareness.
it's scary,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that growing,
Right.
in
Sure.
one way for him would be to
Realize that that's not a threat or
realize
whatever.
that it's not a threat.
Yeah.
And with Winnie, like learning how to swim, and it's just like everything. It seems like it's at the threshold between the outermost edges of our comfort zone, and then what is beyond that,
Yeah.
which is unknown. And so yeah. When we encounter something that is fearful, or when we're fearful of something, is that an indication that we are at some threshold again, that we may grow beyond, if only we're daring and courageous enough to look at it and hold it.
Yeah.
And
1000%.
and or is there something? But is it true that that there is fear that is just for fear's sake?
Right.
Like there is nothing on the other side of it.
Totally.
But that sounds more like a
well,
phobia or something.
Or it's just like deciphering. Yeah, because I struggle with this all the time because I feel like I've completely lost touch of my intuition, and I'm trying to like get back there, but it's so muddy right now that is a fear of mine. Is like, okay, when I am worried about, or if I'm scared to do this thing, how do I know when I need to push through, and how do I know that I'm scared because it's not right for me? How do you figure that out? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I do believe what you said, that like the real kind of joys and growth in life are outside of your comfort zone. Like, and that it's important to me to continue to like do those things because I believe the quote, if you're not learning, you're not living, kind of a thing. So, but I definitely feel held back by my fears about whatever, judgment or failure, things like that. But the intuition piece is where I get stuck. How do I know when this fear is courage in disguise, or how do I know when it's fear because it's the wrong direction?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think I struggle to know the difference too. I'd like to think that we can become sensitive enough to the difference in like the particular flavor of the fear, that there is actually, it's not just fear.
Right. It's a discernible.
There's a different kind of fear that we may become sensitive to.
Yeah. With practice.
With
perhaps.
practice. Yeah.
And that's where I think like meditating is great. Like, and I surely could do more of it, but it's hard to even know what to believe with your own like thoughts, And then, oh my gosh, like talking about like internal family systems, what part of you is talking to you?
Yeah, right.
And like how do you like clear the noise and hear your true self,
Yeah.
Like,
And is the person who like thinks, or is the part of you that thinks it's the I don't know, higher self or self with a capital S, is that really just one of the other motherfuckers in the car or at the
Right.
table
Yeah.
who needs to be,
Yes.
put in its
But I do think that, I can't remember what book it was I was reading about internal family systems, but they talk about that and they say that with practice you can learn when it is truly capital S self, and that the self is always compassionate, loving.
Okay.
There's no negativity, no fear, no doubt, no envy. It's just like, this is getting so woo woo, but just like pure love, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah, it is hard, and I feel like I haven't even really identified all my, parts or whatever. But
Jeez.
yeah,
If it really is if it is a practice and we're not doing it, then what the fuck chance do we have of
right.
growing past
Yeah.
these fears that we keep bumping into? And I was meditating before I came over here, and I was like getting distracted and thinking, God, like there's a lot of shit in here. I could really sit with this for a long time, and I could do it every day, and never run out of shit to
Right.
think about or look at, and I'm only doing it for
Yeah, 20
20
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
And like struggling to make it happen every day. Yeah. But I think I think that's where will find, I do believe it's where we find answers.
Yeah. And going back a little bit to talking about like purpose, and like I said, I'm not joking that I spent a good 20 years trying to like figure it out, but I was doing it in such a way that was not ever going to be successful, because I was like force feeding myself books on finding your purpose and what color is my parachute, and like, taking personality quizzes and things like that. I was so attached to an outcome, and then kind of fast forward to those 2 jobs that I had back to back, and that's kind of when it like clicked, and I was like, dude, I'm like, and of course my husband Ryan has said many times, like, stop forcing it, and I think you've even told me that, but I think it's important to, in my case, loosen the grip on things that I think need to be, and so I'm still interested in like, what my gifts could be, but I no longer have like an attachment to them. I mean, well, I can't say that 100%. I go back and forth or struggle, you know what I mean? Like, in everything I do, I want it to be successful. I'm always going to be like a type A person that wants to like do things perfect, and I fight that urge. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm more at ease now with the process, and I think I've been able to relax a little bit so that I can follow the joy, follow that feeling of, oh, this feels good, I'm going to do more of this, and not like in a hedonistic way, but it's just like, I feel good when I'm doing this, I'm going to follow this direction, see where it leads.
Yeah. But people would say, oh, that, like he has a control issue, or it's a control issue,
Yeah.
and that every problem was captured by this like larger funnel that was just about having issues with control. And at the time it was annoying to me, and now I think about it again because, well, for whatever reason, but it seems more apparent to me that that may actually be true. that like,
That you have a control issue.
well, that so many of us really
Sure.
like that is
Of course.
in some way the root cause of our suffering.
Yes.
Is if we could control everything, we wouldn't have any fucking problems. And we believe that we control some things, and that's enough. Like, focus on the things you
Right.
can control.
Right.
Right. But absolutely under like to any extent am I going to have a conversation about us not having any control. Like we definitely have some control, but what if we don't, right? And not, yeah, I know we don't need to get into that, but that if you could relax into that idea, that if you could really actually be at peace with that, that you wouldn't have any fucking problems.
Yeah. Well, and I think that also can be a gift of, I guess I'll call it practice, but like as we talked about before, I struggled so deeply when our youngest was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, and that became a huge control issue and struggle. And she wasn't struggling with it. I was. I was like just refusing to accept, and it was exhausting me physically and mentally. And so when I finally gave up on that, there was great freedom with it. And
What
then,
happened?
I mean, it wasn't like it was overnight, but I remember, it sounds so dorky, but I was like, I was drawn to like writing a poem for Dolly for her first birthday, and I don't want to say it was like called to do it, but it kind of just was like happening naturally, like the words were, whatever. And in that process of writing that poem, and it kind of shifted from the beginning to the end, it was a very healing process for me where I realized like, oh, I'm the one suffering here. It's not her. She will likely have challenges and struggles in her life because of this disease, but in this moment, it's me that's dying because I will not let go of the reality. And so I realized in order to survive and to like be the best mom I could be, I had to give up. I had to give in and like accept that and accept the truth, the very scary truth that we have no control over anything. And there's still a lot of fear. I mean, I take fear with me in my passenger seat everywhere I go, but it's the upside to that is the ability to find gratitude in the moment. And even when my kids are challenging and we're poor because we're remodeling our bathroom, I can still find the joy because I don't know, it was like a gift.
Was it a practice?
In that moment, it felt instantaneous.
Yeah.
It was just like an epiphany, you know what I mean? But I would say that it is still and probably forever will be a practiced thing. But that was like the beginning of my like intensive gratitude program.
So do you do that like on a daily or weekly? What do you do?
Which part?
Like, what is the practice for you?
It's weird. I think it used to be like a set thing where I would wake up in the morning and I would think of 3 things that I was grateful for. And true, like in those hard times when you like cystic fibrosis aside, you still have a baby who's not sleeping
Right.
and who's crying a lot. And so it's like, I would be grateful if I got a full night's sleep. I'd be grateful for my able body. Like literally like things like that. Like I'm grateful I have legs, like, and then it just became so natural that I just do it kind of all the time. I'm able to zero in on moments when we talk about being content as if it's like, that is the goal, but it's like you can be content in this moment and then you can be frustrated in this moment. You can be sad in this moment, but when it's a good moment, it's like I take like a picture of it with my brain and I log it like this is a good moment. So I hate to be that person that says like, you can't see the light without the dark, but I feel like those fucking people are right. Or it just makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Like, why, when someone said, oh, well, it could always be worse, that it would just piss me off.
That would annoy you?
Like, yeah, but it could be better, too. Like, couldn't it? Like, isn't that just, like, for sure it could be worse, but, like, it could be better.
No, that's funny, because thinking about that does make me feel better. When I think it could be worse, I go, yeah, it could.
Yeah.
I'm good.
God, and for some reason, me thinking, like, when I thought about it being worse, I was like, you fucking kidding me? Like, it could be worse than this?
It can always be worse.
And it can be. And it can be, but
be worse.
I think what was what felt debilitating about it was like I was already struggling. I was already,
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
and I'm, I'm struggling. Like, I have all of my limbs and like,
Right.
Right. But I felt like I was struggling.
Yeah.
And so then to be like,
Yeah.
could be worse, kiddo.
Right. I
you
mean,
know.
that is annoying when somebody diminishes your very valid feelings of whatever it is you're going through.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, force feeding somebody, me telling you, Grant, you need to do this, is not effective.
Yeah. So then, so just like, what is that shift? How does that shift occur? It sounded like it was an epiphany for you.
Right, but something kind of very deeply sad had to happen for me to get there. So yeah, I don't think that has to be the case, but I do think that makes it easier because, in that moment of our lives changing when we found out this news, I know now, right now, it is now worse than it was 2 seconds ago. It's way worse and it's way scarier. So then the further I get away from that, I can just always recall that and say, oh, dude, it was fucking hard then. Like, I know it can be worse. And it can be way worse than that. The news could have been way worse than it was. Like, I don't know. Yeah, but I do think that it has to be your decision to, like, want to view it that way, I guess.
Yeah. Again, like something that I think would be much easier to do, and that is much easier to do if given time to just sit
Right.
in a day. Or
Yes.
yeah.
That is a luxury when you have a business and 2 small children.
Yeah.
But again, not telling you what to do, but I get up really early, and that has been a game changer for me because I have that time first thing in the morning, and it's like I'll never go back. Like
What time are you getting up?
I get up at 5 o'clock, and so I get about 2 hours before the kids wake up,
Damn.
and it's nice.
That's
It is
nice.
nice. Like, yeah, I go to bed at like 9:15.
Yeah.
But I don't care. It's so worth it, and like it starts my day off like fucking amazing, But I'm just saying, like if you're
No, that
trying
could
to
be a
find something.
hack for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
and build up to it too. I don't know what time you're waking up, but like it's not like I went from waking up at 7 to 5 overnight. And let me be clear too. Like now I have a very like awesome routine, but it literally just started with me getting up, sitting in the dark with my coffee, like it wasn't like a pretty sight. I just was like,
God, dude, that's so good.
yeah,
That's
if
a
I didn't
great
do that, I
visual.
wouldn't have any time because I was a stay-at-home mom. So that's all it was at first.
Just like
Yeah, crying into my coffee,
huddled over
Yeah,
your mug.
yeah. And now,
Oh
since
my
it has
God.
evolved into like, a reading and journaling practice, and it's lovely, but
In,
baby
like,
steps.
Especially in like the deep winter when it's just like
Oh,
pitch
yeah. Mm-hmm.
black and it's frigid outside.
Yeah.
There's no color
Yeah,
and
yeah. Jan, Feb. That's a
oof,
rough
rough
time.
times, man. God, dude.
yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day about like, or maybe that was this morning. About like, just how fucking comfy. It's way too comfortable in bed.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I go camping,
Right, you wake up.
you wake up at like
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, and you have that weird like cold feeling, and you can hear all the crickets and birds
But I
and
feel
things.
like, I mean, maybe I'm.
It's a nice feeling. I don't know. It's just a weird
Well, I don't know. Maybe
camping
I'm.
specific feeling.
But definitely, there's probably some mornings camping where you're like, "Fuck this,
Yeah,
dude. Let me
yeah.
just like burrow into my bag." But I feel like most of the time it's like, dude, I gotta get
This is
up.
awesome. Right.
I'm gonna get up.
Sun's up.
I gotta
or
like
sun's
get a
coming up.
fire going or
Right.
whatever.
Breakfast cooking.
And you've done like, more. You've accomplished more
Yes.
by like 7 a.m. than you do normally by 10 a.m.
That's what's hilarious about my day is like I don't mean this 100% seriously, but by like 9:30, my day's already going downhill. I've had my coffee, I've had my quiet time,
feel
I've
that shit.
exercised,
I
I've
know.
showered, and then I'm like, oh, now I have to work.
All my self-care. I did all my
Yeah.
self-care.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah, so it's like not even.
That's why I reserve my self-care shit, some of my shit, to the afternoon, evening. Like, I have that to look forward to.
How do you do that?
After bedtime, after the kids'
Oh,
bedtime.
okay. Yes.
I'll go for a walk.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
I don't think we have come up with any answers.
Dude,
At all.
yeah.
High five it out.
Dude, thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you
back.
for having me.
I feel
I hope that
deeply
was,
depressed now.
I hope that was meaningful.